watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, and welcome to The Establishing Shot, a podcast where we do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. I am your host, Eli Price, and I'm here again with Daniel Blackaby of The Collision. He joined me last week for our episode on Jaws, and we had a really good discussion. I really enjoyed our discussion on Jaws. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and do that because it is the inspiration for our movie draft today. We're going to be doing a creature feature movie draft. I guess like just a real quick, if you're not familiar with what a creature feature is, it's basically I guess the easiest way to define it is basically any movie where a creature is kind of the antagonist of the movie, a creature of some sort, whether it be an animal or a monster or vampires or zombies or anything like any sort of creature. And usually they're kind of in the horror. It's like a horror subgenre kind of. But yeah, a lot of creature features. A lot of people think of like the old like what would it be, like Universal creature features from like the 40s and 50s when they hear the term creature feature. But this is going to be a fun draft. Are you excited about this one, Daniel?
Oh, I am. This is one of my favorite. Like, I'm a sucker for, like, you get some creature, put some humans around trying to escape, and like that's in my wheelhouse. Like I'm the target audience for any movie like that.
Yeah. I don't know what it says about people that really like that sort of movie. Because I like these movies too, but yeah, we'll leave that up to the psychologist. I don't have any experience in that. But yeah, if you've never joined us for a movie draft before, basically I always describe it to people. It's easy if you have sports, if you understand how drafts work with sports. But I always explain it as like it's like picking the best kickball team out in the schoolyard, during recess. You want to make sure you've got the best team. You make your picks strategically. You got to have, fill in all your positions but sometimes you forget about like being the best and you draft your best friend first, even though, he's not any good. That happens every once in a while. But yeah, we do our drafts. Me and Daniel will go back and forth picking movies out of this category, and then come Monday, I'll do a poll, and the people will decide who had the best draft.
We'll decide how much I won by.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. I love it when my guests come on here like determined to destroy me. And sometimes they do. It's happened. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I always give my first time guest the first pick. So Daniel's gonna get the first pick. But don't worry if you ever come on for another episode. I'll take the first pick from you and I'll take it myself. So but yeah, you've got the first pick. Where are you gonna go with this one?
Yeah, well, so the key is to try and think. I sort of have my like dream team. I just need to figure out like make sure how long I can leave, what order you might be leaning to. But
Yeah.
definitely first pick, like when you said what the draft would be, obvious first pick for me is Alien.
Yeah,
For all the reasons that, I mean, it's been described
the
as like Jaws
predecessor
in
to
space.
Jaws. Yeah.
Um, all the reasons I love Jaws so much, I also love Alien. Like I mean,
Hmm.
if you do an Alien episode, like I'd be happy to jump on that. But it's just another one of those just perfect movies that um,
Yeah.
just so much tension and just so much cool stuff going on.
Yeah, that was going to be my first pick if I went first too. Oh man. So now I'm really thrown for a loop. It's man, this is tough now. Because everything else is kind of like up in the air. There's a lot of different ways I feel like I can go. Um so I think what I'll do is I'll this may not get a popular vote. This may be an example like I just shared of like picking your best friend. Um, but I am a huge fan of the 1931 Frankenstein. Um, I love that movie. I think it's so good. And it's like it's not just like Frankenstein's monster, but it's like it feels just like it's exploring some like deepness of like what makes us human in Frankenstein's monster. And I just love that movie. It's the like it's also like just iconic in like its images. Like you think of like the Dr. Frankenstein in the lab with all the like electricity going and stuff, and like Frankenstein like slowly stomping around. um I just love this movie. I think it's so good. So I'm gonna pick Frankenstein. It
Because
may
I
hurt
haven't
me in
seen
the.
it.
Oh yeah, you got to see it at some
I know
point.
I need to do that.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Like, but also like I said, I think it like to me it, like even aside from like kind of the some of the hokiness that it feels hokey to us now, of course, but like I think it's dealing with some like interesting themes. But hi. Quick reminder that you, yes, you, can be a huge help to the production of this show. If you visit establishingshotpod.com/donate, you'll find out how to join the Establishing Shot family through some giving tiers starting as low as $5 a month. You heard that right, only $5 a month. And not only will you be helping me keep the show going, but you'll also get some perks yourself, like early and ad-free episodes, bonus episodes, access to a Discord server where we can chat it up about the show and movies in general, and more. Might even let you choose a movie for me to review for the show. Check out that link in the show notes to learn more. Back to the show. But yeah, you've got your next pick. You've already won the draft with Alien, I think, but you can go ahead and
There's
take
still
4 more.
aliens out there. There's still the
That's
sequel.
true. That's true.
So I think my second pick, I think to continue, we talked about Spielberg with our Jaws episode. So I will pick Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's another
Good pick.
Again, I think he does a lot of. I think all three of those Jaws, Alien and Jurassic Park, are different in a lot of ways, but they're doing a lot of the same. I think a lot of the reason I like those movies is the same things, like the
Yeah.
slow build of tension, like the water cup, or shaking, as the slow reveal of the T-Rex, and just some of the character stuff, and just the struggle for survival. That's just, it's such a good movie.
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time with my kids not long ago, and I hadn't
Ooh,
seen it for
yeah.
a while. And I was just like, oh, this is a good movie. Like this is, it's fun. Like I think my hatred for the like more recent Jurassic like World movies
Yeah.
has like almost like turned me off from the originals, so I hadn't watched them for a long time. But I was like, oh man, this is a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost took it instead of Frankenstein just to try to cancel out your Alien a little bit. So now you're really running away with this. I'm gonna take one that I know at least like one of my friends is a big fan of this movie, so maybe I'll get his vote with this pick. I'm gonna take John Carpenter's The Thing. Have you seen The Thing?
I've, I think I have, but I don't think I've ever actually just sat through and watched. Like it used to always come on late night at
Sure.
like on TV, and I had insomnia for like years and years when I was younger. It's like I feel like I've seen so much of that movie, but I
Yeah.
don't know. It's been a while though.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's Kurt Russell being like terrorized by this like really disgusting, like,
Because it's horrifying.
oh yeah, it's gross. Like, there's some things that like make you like want to look away. But it's also like you can't look away. Uh, this like alien that's basically like disfiguring like people and dogs and stuff. It's really gross, but like it's just another example of like a movie that is just like really like thrilling and like suspenseful and scary, but also like dealing with the things that a lot of these seem to do, which is like what makes us human, what are our greatest fears and why are those our greatest fears, like sort of thing. uh a lot of these kind of have that undercurrent to them. um yeah, so I think I like my pick with The Thing. What's your third pick? I think we're going to go up to 5 picks each. I don't think I
Yeah,
clarified that, but yeah.
I think so I'm a little worried that I'm gonna to use the sports analogy that I'm like picking too many of like the same type of player. But I think for my
That's
third,
fine.
uh, a slightly more recent film, go with A Quiet Place.
Hmm.
I forget how many years ago the original came out, but I mean it was like my favorite movie of the year.
It's
You know,
fantastic.
it's
Yeah.
it's, it's so good. I think it was actually when we started our collision when I started reviewing movies. It was like the first movie that I reviewed
Nice.
whenever that came out. But yeah, so much about that movie. I mean, it has like the scares. It has the gimmick that doesn't ever really feel like a gimmick of can't make noise. You got to stay silent. And
Hmm.
then just like, as a father myself, like the family dynamic and kind
Yeah.
of grounding it in this very contained, you know. And I'm just a sucker for that. Like a movie that takes place in like one small location. Like I
Hmm.
just like Signs sort of did that. Like I just love those sort of movies. Um, so much. I like the second one too, but I think the first one um, is just one of the best sort of Jaws-esque movies that I've seen in recent years.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a bit kind of underwhelmed by the second one, but the first one I love. I think because it was so simple, um, the I guess like the concept of it is like very simple, and also like the one scene that everyone knows that I'm talking about if they've seen the movie, like, is just like brings me to tears, like you know and it probably will every time I watch it. But yeah, great pick. uh I guess I'll follow suit and go with another recent one that I actually described this movie to people that hadn't seen it yet as Jaws but in the sky. um and I'm gonna go with Jordan Peele's Nope.
Because
um
I haven't not seen that one either.
oh man, well then you've got to, because it's Jaws in
Yeah,
the
no,
sky.
I'm sold on the. Yeah, I think I got super sick the day I was supposed to go review that, and just never caught up with it.
Oh yeah, you've got to see it now. Have you ever heard it described as that before?
No, but now I'm. If I knew it was described as that, I would have gone whether I was sick or not. I would have
Yeah.
felt Jaws in the sky is. I mean, that's speaking
Yeah.
my language.
And it's an alien, so it's a Jaws alien in the sky. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for, really, out of
I
a
know that's hitting
movie?
the bullseye of my like movie going interest.
And then like on top of that, you know, Daniel Kaluuya's like haunting like stare that he has as an actor is just like, yeah, it's a great movie, and I think there's just like an incredible. It's one that I haven't seen since theaters, but now that I'm talking about it, like it makes me want to go like rewatch it right now because when it came out, me and like some of my friends like talked about it over text for days after watching it. I think there's just an incredible depth to it, like what it's doing, like visually and with like the themes and stuff is just really good. But yeah, I'm excited to see more stuff from Jordan Peele for sure.
Yeah, I need to see that.
Hello again. Do you know how you can really support the show for free in just a few minutes or less? That's right. Just leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple, or wherever you listen that might allow for ratings and reviews. These really help the visibility of the podcast. In fact, just hit that pause button right now and drop the review right now. And then you can get back to the show. I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay. I trust that you went and left that rating and review now. Back to the show.
Yeah, your fourth pick. Where are you gonna go?
So this one might be sort of off the path a bit. I was going to leave this one because I figured there's a better chance that this wasn't high on your list. But now I don't want to risk not getting it. But I'm going to take Godzilla -1. I don't know if you.
I was actually gonna take that next.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm trying to figure out like, well, it's new enough that I don't want. I can probably leave it, but I mean, I love that movie. Like it's
Yeah,
probably my favorite movie of last year.
yeah,
And it was one that I wasn't. It was sort of the antithesis of all the things that I don't like about a lot of monster movies. Like it did the opposite. I got all the things that it wasn't a big spectacle. It was like super character driven. It was very like I kind of describe a lot of these movies like there's the difference between like whether you're cheering for the characters to like die or whether you're cheering for them to live. Like the ones that are just the gore and the spectacle and like the gross you out and you just sort of want the monster to claim a victim.
yeah,
Where I tend to gravitate more towards like obviously characters are probably going to die, but you're cheering for the characters to live. Like you're rooting for the humans, like to because you care about them. And to me,
right.
this movie was just nailed that aspect. Like, and it doesn't hurt that the director in a bunch of interviews said that a lot of the movie was directly inspired by Jaws, and you can see that with like the boat
Yeah,
chase and stuff was. But yeah, like, I loved this movie.
yeah. It wasn't my favorite movie of last year, but it was in my top 10. So I'm actually we're recording this before I've actually recorded this episode that will come out before this episode. It happens sometimes, everything out of sequence, but yeah, it's I watched a lot of films last year. I think I saw at this point 68 total
Wow.
like 2023 films, and so when you watch that many, making the top 10 is a big deal. So it was in my top 10. I thought it was incredible. Like the visuals, like it was very reminiscent of, to me, like story wise, of the original Godzilla, which I've always loved. And I'm tempted to take next. Because I think Godzilla 1 I like more just because it's maybe more modern, but it's doing a lot of like similar things that the old one did. It's kind of a it's kind of like what reboots should be. Like if all reboots were like incredibly well made, then they would all be like as good as Godzilla -1, but we just usually don't get that. But yeah, I'll just say Godzilla is like one of the top honorable mentions so that we can get maybe some nuance here on the list. And I'm gonna go. You went with a Japanese movie. I'm gonna do something I wasn't expecting to do, but it'll be fun in the context of the draft. I'm gonna go with a Korean movie that came out not last year, but in 2016. I'm gonna take Train to Busan, which is a Korean zombie movie. That's really good. Actually, I think I might have taken this in a train movie draft that I did with Sam
Because I
a
know Sam's
while back.
talked about this movie, and he's tried
Yeah,
to sell me on it because I haven't seen it, but
or
he's
he might have
telling me.
taken. I don't know. One of us took it in that draft, I think. Um, but yeah, I guess I'll get one good foreign language monster movie, and I think this is maybe my favorite as far as that goes. And we haven't gotten any zombies on here yet, so we've got to get
Yeah,
some
we need.
zombies in the list. And yeah, I think Train to Busan is one of, if not my favorite zombie movie. It's just really good. Great character. Like it's just like we keep talking about these same things of like the best monster movies have like really good character building. And this one has phenomenal character building. So yeah, definitely highly recommend Train to Busan. And like really like incredible. There's like one sequence in particular that's like an extended just like suspense, like zombie, let's not disturb the zombies kind of sequence. That's really good. But yeah. All right. This is your last pick.
Okay, let's see.
Fifth pick.
So I'm wavering.
It's hard when you get down to the last one and there's like so many good ones still.
Yeah. So I'll give an honorable shout out because I feel like it probably would get more votes to Cloverfield just for like
Yeah.
it was an original. I just haven't seen it for so long, but it's a unique kind of when that sort of gimmick found footage still felt like really fresh and original. But I think for my official pick, I will go with Prey. I don't know if you've seen
I
the like
did.
Predator like kind of sequel prequel
The
for
prequel
Hulu.
that's better than the original.
Yeah, it is. Like it's I loved it. I thought it did a lot of the same things I think that even that Godzilla -1 did. Like it character driven. I thought the actress was fantastic in that, and just the idea of like one of these movies that's not set in modern times was like one of those moments of like, why are there not so many more? Like, give me an alien back in like I guess they had cowboys and aliens or something. Maybe they have done some of these,
Yeah.
but just the sort of like the more like ancient sort of culture having to combat these things that we associate with like sci-fi and like the future was
Yeah.
just such a neat sort of contrast that for me the movie just I don't know I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good. I was surprised how much I liked it. And I wish it would have went to theaters. It just kind of like dropped on Hulu, if I'm remembering correct. I don't know if it
Yeah, because I think it was right in was it always that plan or is that right in COVID? I forget.
it
But it seemed
wasn't
like it
during
kind of came
COVID.
out and then no one really talked about it and like I don't it just didn't seem like it got as much buzz as it could have got.
Yeah, it could have been a really big like theater release. They dropped the ball on that one for sure. Um, I know it wasn't during COVID because I was still in 2020 with COVID going, I was still in my apartment before we bought our house, and so and I remember watching this movie like at our house when it came out. So yeah, I don't know what they did. They did something wrong there. But yeah, that was a great pick. Your list is really good, and it's tough because I love my list too, but then I look at your list and I'm like, man, it's as far as like popular what I think people are going to vote for, like I think you've already beaten me. So I'm going to just go with something that I really like that maybe won't get the votes since I feel like I've already lost. And we've got some alien, we've got some zombie, some beasts. Godzilla is represented. So I am gonna take a monster that we have not taken yet, and I'm gonna take a vampire. Um, I've taken the original Nosferatu, the 1922 one, in a draft before, so I'm gonna shout out that one, but I'm gonna draft Nosferatu the vampire, the Werner Herzog one that came out in 1979, starring Klaus Kinski as Count Dracula, and it's just a really, really well made movie. It's just got this like all through the movie, it just somehow holds this just like super eerie feeling without ever letting it like fall into like campiness, or at least that's how it worked for me. Like I just felt like kind of creeped out the whole movie. Even though like I don't know, I feel like vampires can so easily kind of get corny or campy or whatever. And but Werner Herzog is kind of, he's just like a really great filmmaker, and so he just, I guess he knew what he was doing and made a really great movie. I want to say, I'm double checking myself. Yeah, it is. It says that, yeah, it's a German language film. Werner Herzog has made some American, like English language, but he is German, and this is a German language film. But yeah, it's a really, really good movie. So yeah, I'm gonna take one just to get some good vampire representation on the creature feature draft.
Hello there, listener. Don't you ever want more for your life? Don't you ever dream of surpassing the status of just podcast listener? Well, I've got good news. If you head on over to establishingshotpod.com and click the send a voicemail button on the right side of your screen, you can be featured on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's a comment in response to an episode you liked, an opinion of mine you disagreed with, or just a question for me. And if you're too shy to have your voice featured, you can always email me at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. Don't settle for just being a podcast listener. Reach for the stars and get featured on The Establishing Shot. Back to the show.
That's it. We both have 5 movies. Before I read back our drafts, do you have any other like big honorable mentions you want to shout out?
Well, I mentioned Signs. I love that movie. I know some people aren't as crazy about it, but
yeah, it's been a long time. I need to revisit it.
Yeah, I know the ending is maybe not the best, but just that's kind of self-contained, and I know people aren't hot on Mel Gibson these days either, but like he's great in that movie. And I mean Aliens. I know lots of people that like talk like Aliens is better than Alien, and I just don't get it. Like
I don't think.
I think Alien is so, like, I like Aliens, but it's a very different type of movie.
It is.
Like it's sort of fun, but it's not as like inspired as the original
Yeah.
Alien was.
Yeah, I mean it's just a totally different movie. Like Alien is a suspense thriller horror, and Aliens is just kind of like um an action movie, I guess, with like a sci-fi setting. Um that's how it feels to me anyway. It's just they just feel like very different movies. I do like Aliens a lot, but it's not in the same realm as Alien to me. We're in agreement there for sure.
Did you have any that you were sad to leave off your list? That
Yeah, I had a few that I was so I didn't draft Arrival because I
I didn't
didn't
even think of that.
yeah, I just didn't feel like the aliens played as they didn't play a huge part, and I don't want to give too much of a spoiler for people that haven't seen it, but I'm not even sure that they're like antagonists in the movie. So like I had it on my list, but I was like looking at it and I was like, I don't know if this is technically like would fall into the creature feature category, but it is an incredible movie, so I'll shout it out anyway. District 9, I feel like is a
Oh yeah,
one that is overlooked. But yeah, I think it's a really good movie. Aliens again. And then besides that, I'll shout out two more. I'll shout out Bong Joon-ho's The Host. Many people recognize Bong Joon-ho as the director of Parasite.
I
But
didn't even make the connection that he did that.
yeah, but The Host is a monster movie. It's like this weird, like fish. I don't know. It's like this weird fish conglomerate sort of monster that comes out of a polluted, like river next to their city. It's really good, a really enjoyable movie. And then the other one is I thought about taking this to get an animated representation on the list, but I figured I'd just shout it out. It's made by the studio Cartoon Saloon, who have made a few good movies, but it's called Wolfwalkers.
In front of it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's about this. It's kind of this like Irish folktale kind of thing, where this girl's dad is like a wolf hunter, and I think that's what it is. Yeah, Wipeout. They're basically hunting wolves, but there's also like this tale of like werewolves kind of thing, and basically like she kind of befriends these werewolves and starts to become one, but her dad is a hunter of the wolves too. So it's this like really 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 good like little folk tale kind of animated movie. It's I highly recommend it. It's on Apple TV if you have Apple TV. um it's just a really sweet, it has a very sweet like father daughter kind of dynamic going on too. Yeah, I recommend that. It's a good werewolf creature feature, just animated. um yeah, I have other ones that I like a good bit, but I think we've shouted out a good bit of movies. And then, of course, this is the honorary Jaws draft. So Jaws is like the 101 in all of our hearts, I guess. But yeah, that was fun. I'll read out the final list for each of us, and I guess we'll leave it up to the people to decide who had the better draft. I think it maybe was Daniel, but I like my list a lot. I'll stand by it. Daniel ended up with Alien, Jurassic Park, A Quiet Place, Godzilla -1, and Prey. And I ended up with Frankenstein, The Thing, Nope, Train to Busan, and Nosferatu the Vampire, the Werner Herzog version. Yeah, I think we both have really good lists. I keep saying I think you're going to win because you kept like taking the one I was going to take right before.
I know. I feel like I got lucky
right
with
before I
my.
went.
I'm glad I got my ones that before you snatched them from
Yeah,
me.
you were spot on. I don't know how you did that, but yeah, yeah, you knocked it out of the park, I think. But yeah, we'll see what the people think. But yeah, Daniel is at the collision, and he talked a little bit about that on the last episode. Make sure you go check out that and our Jaws discussion. And I'll make sure to drop links to the collision and where you can follow Daniel on social media in the episode notes. So go click on those, give them a follow, check out what they're doing at the collision. And yeah, other than that, we have Close Encounters of the Third Kind coming up next week with we talked about it with Sam, who works with Daniel at the collision. So the collision double feature on the establishing shot with Daniel and Sam. So yeah, I'm looking forward to my discussion on Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But until then, we are gonna wrap it up and end it. So yeah, it was fun. But I've been Eli Price for Daniel Blackaby. You've been listening to The Establishing Shot. We'll see you next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.